Now this is much more than just your typical point and shoot the length of something. This laser measuring tool does much more. We're going to get into that, get into all the details, and then we'll come back and follow up with pricing and what we think of it. So we brought the Mileseey S50 outside, and I want to talk about a couple of things here. Number one, we're going to actually use it and show some calculations or some measurements. But also, this does have a 1/4-20, as if you don't trust me, a 1/4-20 there, so you can connect this to most any of your common tripods or mounts or anything like that. And by the way, a cheap Amazon tripod or something you can find at Walmart, whatever, something cheap, is very handy to have, especially when you're wanting to get more precise measurements, but also it kind of joins into something else that's another feature on this unit. So you'll see here, this little button right here and this little image up here that has the arrow coming out from the bottom and shooting forward. That means it's measuring from the back side of this. So like when you would put this up against a wall, it's going to measure from that wall to the next surface that it's finding. However, if we hit this button here, you'll see that it will change to the midpoint. So it's measuring from the midpoint of the Mileseey S50. And if I hit this another time, it's now measuring from the front side. So if you wanted to butt this up against something, let the laser shoot and measure, you can do it from there as well. And if I hit this again, you see it's kind of got that funky arrow. What that is for tripod mounting. So it knows now the center point is from the center of our tripod. So for like this, it's not measuring from the back, it's not measuring from the front, but from that center or from that mounting point where that 1/4-20 mount is for the tripod. So just really easy to change those things right there with a solid button. And so we'll set it on the tripod. And so now we know we're measuring there from basically the center or wherever that's mounted. The screen is just ultra crisp and clear on the S50, whether it be at night like we're in right now, or even in the daytime. It is not tough to see the screen at all. Also, with all the instructions on it, just makes it very seamless and very easy to use. Now, also, we're seeing this green dot here at nighttime, and very easy to see here in the camera, even though the wall is basically pitch black. But you can see also in the daytime, we can also see this green laser. That's one of the great things about a green laser, much more visible than your typical red lasers. Also, before we get into measuring, which this will add to it as well, there's a little H button right here. This is the history. So if I click on history, I can scroll back to the last 30 measurements that we've done. So if you've gone past something, didn't record it or whatever, it's going to save those last 30 so you can just scroll through them. And then if you want to hit history again, it'll ask you if you want to delete, or you can just back out of that and say no, and then back out again with the power button. So hold the power button to shut it off, or you can hit that to back out as well. You see the little arrow going backwards. So that history button is very functional as well. Now we'll just lean this forward and we'll go ahead and hit our button here to measure. And you can see that nice bright dot on the building right there. Very easy to see with my naked eye. So if I hit my green button, it's going to tell me that we're at 109 inches and 15/16, or 109 and 15/16 inches. Very simple length measurement. Let me go back in and let's go in and see if we can find something continuous. No, point to point. Obviously, that's going to be pretty easy, where it tells you to point one way and point another. We'll go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and take this, and it's saying it's self-calibrating, so please don't move it. So now it's ready to go. Now, here's the great thing about the Mileseey, is it's actually walking you through how to do this. It's saying, okay, first we want to take the measurement to the left, not necessarily left or right, but you can see, take that angle measurement, then the next angle measurement, and it's then going to give us the length. So it's waiting on that first shot. And so let's just shift this over. We'll shoot that. Tells us 127 and 15/16. And then we'll turn this over here, get the next one. And it's 125 and 15/16, which is telling us then the actual length between those two is 88 and 11/16. And it's giving us the 41-degree angle as well. So not only did it give us that length, it also tells us that's 41 degrees. Now, I highly recommend if you are wanting to shoot where you're getting those angles and things, then you definitely want to be on a tripod, not just kind of walking around and shaking around. Again, getting just kind of broad estimates is fine, but if you're really wanting to key in, then I would highly recommend you getting something where it will stay stationary when you're doing these more complex measurements. And for workflow and backup purposes, you can actually connect to the Smart Life app. And you'll see here, I've got the app here on the right on the phone, and I can go ahead and shoot these measurements. And you'll see how quickly they arrive there on the phone. So now we can, whether it is to back it up, whether we want to import that into a plan or whatever, we have all that data real time coming into that app that we can use as well. So let's go back over here. We'll go back into our different measurements. And wall area, that's pretty self-explanatory. Find an area. Volume, we'll do a cylinder volume here in a moment. Indirect length, 2 times indirect. So let's do a Pythagorean. So in other words, we're going to shoot the bottom, or first shoot our angle up like that. So let's go ahead and shoot that. So okay, we're shooting that first angle up there. And then we want to shoot our level angle because we need to be a 90 degree. Shoot that. And now that tells us that length, or that height, really is 57 1/16. So again, it's assuming that level measurement is a 90 degree angle to the length that you're trying to get, or to the height, or whatever measurement you're trying to get on the little green section right there. The 2.4-inch screen is not only easy to read, but also if we go into settings, we can actually change the background to a white background or the darker background. And then let's go back and let's take a look at the next, this Pythagorean here. So where we have a 90, but we're also shooting to the bottom as well. So we want to shoot now 3 different angles. One up high, let's go ahead and shoot that one. And now it's asking for the one that's level. We'll get that. And then the one that's down as well. And now we know that our first length was 126 3/4. Then our second was 109 5/8. The third one was 110 1/16. Which gives us 73 7/8 inches, in this case a height, or tall, or it's asking for the length there. But again, that's assuming that middle shot is going to be a nice perpendicular or 90 degree angle from the length you're trying to get. And now here's one as well, another Pythagorean, where it's actually, you're just wanting to get that top height. So not even having to get the whole height or the whole length of whatever it is you're trying to shoot, which is maybe above level. So we'll go ahead and get that one. 128 13/16. Our second one, which again is not the level or the perpendicular, and this is the one that needs to be a 90 to the actual unit we're trying to get. And so now it tells us just that top height is 34 3/4 inches. And it's really easy to spot this laser, even when we're a good 25, 30 feet away. So like where it is right there, it's probably 30 feet. See it nice and bright. And bring it back over here where we're probably 15 feet away. So for some reason, if we needed to know the volume of this here, or if this were a sonotube or something like that, we needed to know how much concrete. I've got my cylindrical volume right here. I can click on it, and the first measurement it wants is basically the diameter here. So we'll get the diameter, shoot it, and then it wants us to get the length. So I'll just shoot to my hand here. And now it's telling us that we need 6.6 cubic feet. So there's 6.6 cubic feet there. It's 36 inches wide, and it's 36 inches long and 20 inches in diameter, which gives us 6.6 cubic feet. So this is how you'll get the Mileseey S50 Precision X laser measurer. Really nice casing, by the way, or boxing, if you will. So magnetic lip to close. Just a really good looking box. I know that's probably the last time you'll see it, but still, the point is, got everything in here. You even get laser stickers, laser 2 stickers, if you want to put your warning stickers out there. And then you get a manual in every language that is probably applicable. And then obviously you can also have some online manuals as well. And looks like a card. Yeah, so if you want to contact them, you can scan that barcode, and then their QC card as well. And here is going to be the Mileseey laser, and here should be probably the charger that we may have already gotten out. There's the actual armband. So yeah, we've already gotten out the USB-C charger. So I'm going to open this up and pretend that we haven't seen this yet. Yeah, and there's the charger now that I've got in the pocket, which is a USB-A to USB Type-C. So probably 5 volts, really low voltage to charge this. But a really good looking unit with, again, a decent case to hold that when you're done unboxing it and putting it away. And we can peel that protective layer off of there. And to power this up, I'm just going to hold the power button down right here. Now, as we said in the intro, this is a laser measure, but it's not your typical just point and shoot and measure the length and maybe add up 2 lengths and be done with it. It's doing a ton of stuff. In fact, if we just go here to the basically multifunction area, so we hit that with the 4 squares on it, and then we can cycle through. There's wall area, there's area of a rectangle, there's volume. So if we had a, we got a hole dug or we're digging a foundation, something like that, we need to know volume, we can compute all of that. Indirect length. So if you need to know the length of something, and you can basically point to 2 areas, basically there's your first measurement, and then it's going to measure the height and give you the length. And then here, indirect height. So now you're going to basically, it's going to know your length here. You're going to point and measure to the top of the height, and then it's going to give you that height. So that'd be very handy. So let's say you need to know the wall height of a shop that's say 20 feet. You don't now have to break out your big tape measure, and hopefully it's going to stand long enough to be able to run it up 20 feet. And you don't have to break out your ladder. Now you can just point this up there, and you don't have to hold it at the base from a distance away, be able to point to the top and be able to derive that height. This is indirect height. So that's your regular indirect height. This is your 2x indirect height. So basically, rather than assuming, this one's assuming square. So let's say you're at ground level and then measuring the height. That's going to give you the height. And this one is you're literally measuring down to the bottom and then measuring up to the top. And then it's going to then configure that height. This one you definitely probably want to be, if you want something exact, then you need to be on a tripod, something like that, so that your altitude doesn't change or your height doesn't change where you're measuring from. And Pythagorean, this is really cool as well. And again, this is going to assume square. So this is going to assume when you point to the height that you're wanting to measure, and then you point your bottom section, that's assuming that your bottom section is going to be square, and then it's going to give you your height. So again, a building from ground level, and that's what you're wanting, then you're wanting this Pythagorean. And by the way, it's also walking you through this. So this is Pythagorean based off of 3 measurements where you can measure basically your angle to the top, and then your square angle or your parallel angle, and then your third measurement, which will be to the bottom. And again, it's going to give you length based off of that. And then again, if you wanted a partial height of something, this would be for that, another Pythagorean. And then trapezium. So even if let's say you have a lean-to of a building that you're building and you're wanting to know that length of that roof, then you can figure it out with that trapezium measurement. Again, it's giving you the measuring tools to say, measure this one first, the ground or the bottom second, and then the height of the tallest wall third, and then it's going to give you that length of angle of that roof. And again, another trapezium measurement, and then triangular area. So you can figure the angle of a triangle, and then as well as the circular area by shooting the diameter, and then it's going to give you the area of that circle. And again, volume based off of a cylinder rather than a cube. And then even doing stakeouts, it'll walk you through that as well. Single length measurement, so hit the length, hit the button, and that's telling me 21 inches and 5/8. And even here in the bright shop here, obviously on this black, you can see it. Even on the stainless back there, you can see that as well. Give you a little better angle. So you can see that on the stainless, you can see it on the black, obviously. But that green laser, even in the daytime, is going to give you a greater chance of being able to see that. So literally, the single measurement, just kind of point and shoot, and will give you that measurement. Even if you're wanting to do a continuous measurement, you can do that. But you can see all the different variations, wall area, and so on, that you get with the Mileseey S50. Let's go out. The ability to quickly measure as well as be able to see that beam and be able to compute volumes as well as area and even shoot by Pythagorean. In other words, be able to shoot the base of a triangle, shoot the angle of a triangle, and it be able to give you the height of that triangle becomes a very, very useful tool, and especially being able to estimate things. Not just being able to get exact measurements all the time, but be able to quickly estimate something without having someone hold a tape. You can now walk out there, get all your computations for it, figure it out, whether you're figuring out how much sheetrock you need, whether you're figuring out how much volume of concrete you may need, or just being able to estimate building out a room or building a structure, whatever it may be. The Mileseey S50 can help you out with that. And pricing on this is only $110 at the moment. So you're going to save a few bucks if you buy it now. I think regular price is going to be somewhere around that $130 or $140 range. But for right now, we've seen it as cheap as $110. We'll have a link in the description if you're interested. Also, keep track of us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and even TikTok. And if you don't mind, hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And by all means, if you hated our video, well, give us a thumbs down. But let us know in the comments why. Have a great day and keep smiling.